Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Waters Above. It's been a spicy time in this market since my last update, and I have so much to cover in today's video. I'll be discussing this recent sell-off in eHex since the pulsechain launch, and since the Hex community has been showing my work a lot of love over these past couple months. And to follow that up, I have some serious words of wisdom to share regarding this ecosystem and really just cryptocurrency overall during these times. And I also have my newest decode I just dropped for the 2023 NBA Finals, which was just released on June 3rd, pretty much within 24 hours of Game 1 in the series. We're now heading into Game 4 tonight, and it's pretty much going how I expected. I wasn't intending on decoding this, but I got so many requests from my Patreon supporters, so I decided to get it out as soon as possible, and here we go. And for anyone who's interested and might have missed the update when this was officially released, I wanted to make sure also to share this update here so it could be on your radar. And during this decode, I wasn't playing any games. This decode is packed with gems. I really go deep into the symbolism behind both of these teams and made this presentation in a way that even if you do not like sports or do not watch sports, you'll see the merit in how I'm combining all these layers together to utilize for how I interpret things to go down on the world stage, and ultimately how these big sporting events are even coded into the way the financial markets operate. So remember, everything popular and known in this world brings the collective consciousness together to have those who pay their attention to those things willingly pour their prana into something that they allow to control them emotionally. It's like being a puppet that worships the puppet master. And my work centers around a philosophy of how I can just observe this all from the sidelines without investing my emotions into it, to be able to analyze it with clarity. This is the true sight. And with this sight, I can see how it's all connected and it's all just synchronistic. I did the same thing with the Super Bowl 56 decode tied to the Rams and Bengals, and how anything associated with Jupiter or Tiger symbolism by the code would have a rough time in 2022, and that's exactly how that year went. Then I used the same decoding system for Super Bowl 57. We saw how that turned out. We can now use that code that we got from the results to determine the positive and negative aspects associated with those numbers and utilize that gnosis for what's to come. We can do the same thing with this NBA Finals. So in this recent decode, I exposed my pick of who I see winning this championship and how many games I expect it to take. That's available now at patreon.com/watersabove for the Mastermind community membership, along with my past decodes. I actually reference my Super Bowl 57 and Year of the Rabbit decoded often during this new presentation. So you'll get access to those with any of my Patreon memberships, as well as access to my weekly Red Pill podcast, which I'll be releasing the newest podcast in just a couple days. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. And make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious beings to help grow our community. And with that being said, let's take the clear pill. All right, so a lot to get into today, but just to quickly wrap it up, on June 3rd, the debt ceiling bill was officially passed into law, essentially suspending the debt limit until January 2025. It's a perfect setup for a mid to late 2024 bull run. You gotta love how scripted this all is. So far, the traditional markets are actually responding very, very positively to all of this, and we're just gonna quickly check out the Dow. And Dow Jones doing very nicely off of all of what's been going on lately, essentially heading up into this 702 target that I mapped out around 34,300 points, retesting the previous highs of May 1st right over here. And going over to the S&P, it has started to trade into the golden pocket, also gravitating towards the 702 fib, one of my favorite levels to utilize with this type of simplified analysis. I teach all of this and how to utilize the Fibonacci retracement tool the way I use it in my cryptocurrency mastermind course, available on my website, watersabove.com. If you're interested in learning more about how I actually do my TA. So regarding Standard & Poor's, if it breaks the August 22 highs, which are right over here, then it's expected that we head into the 702 fib, and we'll check in on this later, see how it reacts to that key level, since that is typically where the candles like to roll over into backtesting lower levels, such as the 236 fib. And this is natural because we have right over here your all-time high, followed by a very deep sell-off. And then when we started to get back above the 0.5 fib was where we expect the automatic rally to head into the golden pocket. But you can see right here, we tested the 0.5 fib on November 30th of 2022. Then we back tested the 236 fib. And that is a key level of support at the end stage of your accumulation cycle. So now we're here into this automatic rally territory, and it's expected that we probably mimic what happened with the Dow Jones as well as the NASDAQ, which we're moving into right now. So speaking of the 702 fib, we could see it right here. That is where the NASDAQ is locally testing. And I just love how accurate this 702 fib is. I actually called out this exact level to be expected 3 weeks in advance from one of my Red Pill podcasts that I released. I was able to determine this due to this interaction with the 0.5 fib, which was right over here. It spent pretty much a month there. And this interaction that we had, once it clears that with a confirmation of support and a backtest, and especially with a room to go on RSI, that's when we look for the 702 fib as your next target. So that's exactly how that played out. And we hit those levels of 14,550. So now, all three major indices are in their finality of the automatic rally phase. If you're unaware of what I mean by automatic rally, I'm talking about Wyckoff method created by Richard Wyckoff. That is what I teach in my crypto mastermind course as the basis and foundation of how I analyze markets. I like to call Wyckoff method the market compass. So if you were lost, you'd like to know where you're going. And a lot of people are not only lost in this market, they don't even know where they are, to begin with. And that is really where it's so easy to manipulate newer investors through emotion. And what I love about knowing how to utilize a Wyckoff method with accumulation and distribution cycles is it allows me to take my emotions off the table, and I could just see clearly because I know where I am. I'm not lost. So I go over all of that in my crypto mastermind course, as well as my advanced trading course for people that want to step up their game and start getting into actively trading this market. That is where I share all of my Wyckoff schematics, my accumulation, reaccumulation, distribution, and redistribution, really high quality PDF files, so you can take all of them, save them, study them, and start applying it to your trading. And it's amazing. It not only works on these macro timeframes, like a 2-day through weekly, it actually could be utilized on even smaller charts, like a 4-hour and lower. That's why I love the Wyckoff method, and it even works with cryptocurrency. So anyways, moving on. This is pretty much in its finality of the automatic rally phase. All three indices are in their finality of the automatic rally phase. The Dow technically completed it back in late December of 2022. And what I mean is this move right over here. You can see that we hit almost into the 786, the top of the golden pocket. So it pretty much hit that level. And now we're seeing lower highs in the structure, and it's kind of, this broadening, descending wedge if you want to get into the more technical side of things, but I like to keep it super simple. We are pretty much done with the Dow Jones. We are completed officially on the NASDAQ, and now we're just waiting on the S&P to catch up, and then all three will have completed the cycle. And what's to expect after this moment is rolling back over into a deeper correction. So could there be one more bullish push up for these three? Of course. all of these can hit the 786. For the Dow, they could hit the 786 again, the top of the golden pocket. Of course, with how silly this market has been lately, it would not shock me at all. So naturally, that's when the Federal Reserve comes into this conversation, and we have the next FOMC meeting coming in on the 13th and 14th. This is next week. We're about 4 days out from this meeting as I record this video, and this makes next week very important for the market. Now, getting into the code, next week will be the 24th week of the year. You could see that right there, week 24, June 12th through June 18th. Of course, we're talking about the Gregorian calendar. And this is now getting into the esoteric side of things, and the number 24 is tied to Jupiter. And you could see that right here. Jupiter zodiac logo is right in your face, the number 24. We've been talking about this on this channel since I started 2 years ago, and it's very important that we take note of this. So 24 is the symbol, the Jupiter zodiac logo symbol, and this made me think of how next Thursday, of course, Thursday being Thor's day, or the day of Jupiter, and just to push up to that date of next Thursday, that would be the 15th. Now, let me just tie this back into some of the earlier stuff, but I'm going to break it down a little bit for you. What I find interesting by the code, you can see how this is the day leaving 199 days left in the year. Remember, we were talking about Jupiter. We have the 99 with the 1 in front of it, giving it emphasis, and Jupiter, of course, giving you that 99, excuse me. And we can go even deeper than that, and that comes back to the 199 itself, and this being your 46th prime number. All right, this is going to get a little deep, so hang out with me. But just to go basic here, that 46 comes back into the alternative ticker symbol of Bitcoin, which is XBT. You can see that right there in just English ordinal Gematria. You have that 46. And this is amazing how this date has the 64 date numerology, double digit date numerology. 6 plus 15 plus 20 plus 23 gives you 64, the mirror of the number 46, as above, so below. Now, remember, we were talking about this Jupiter zodiac logo, the 24, and 64, or moreover, 46 is 4 sixes, and 4 times 6, of course, is 24. It's all coded back. And this is in the 24th week of the year on Thursday, the day of Jupiter, tied to that number 24. Now, the metal that is associated with Jupiter is tin. And if you go over to the Royal Society of Chemistry's website and go to tin, you're going to see the logo here is the XRP logo. We were just talking about the number 24, and the logo of XRP is the X, which is the 24th letter in the English alphabet. It's all coded. All right. So getting back to this, a couple more connections. We have Satoshi giving you 24 by the code. And if you connect June 15th, this exact date, to Satoshi's last birthday, and of course, Satoshi is a mythological figure, not a real person, but you need to utilize this exoteric stuff as a decoder to get the esoteric. And this is where it all starts to make a lot more sense, right? So we have this connection here between June 15th and Satoshi's last birthday by 71 days. And remember, Jupiter is also known as Zeus, and Zeus gives you 71 by the code. It's all coded together. Satoshi is Saturn, the father of Jupiter. Kronos, the father of Zeus. It's all mythology, and it's playing itself out through finances, through law, through everything that happens on the world stage. Every big event from 9/11 to C-19 to the future of transhumanism with the Aquarian Age, it's all mythology. And if you don't wake up to that, it's going to be very hard for you to see it for what it is. Again, this isn't to be mean or demean anyone. This is just the reality of how this script of life goes. Even if you watch your Hollywood movies, the Hollywood movie is just the same story over and over again. It's the mythology of Saturn and Jupiter. You see it time and time again. So this 46 code is really amazing. We don't talk about it too much, but if you remember back during Satoshi Nakamoto's 46th birthday was probably the most bullish time frame in cryptocurrency in the last cycle. It was right around here heading up into Bitcoin's first all-time high, about 60,000, 64,000. Of course, we keeled over and then ran up one more time into the end of 2021. But more importantly, it's still during his 46th year, right? Now, it's amazing how during that 46th year, we had one of the most bullish timeframes in crypto. If you look at Total 2, which is the crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin, during that time, crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin broke above $1 trillion just around that time and for the first time ever. It's big. Okay, so the 46 is massive with this code. And now that I'm seeing it show up again here, it's something that's intriguing me that June 15th is a very important day. So this June 15th coming up next week is very interesting by the code, just a day after the Fed's FOMC meeting, which follows up this historic event from this past weekend with the debt ceiling bill passed into law that prevented the potential first ever US government default. So I can imagine it's going to be a circus in the market next week. So last thing to say about June 15th that really makes me intrigued by this date is connecting it to Rosh Hashanah, which is the Hebrew New Year. Here on this channel, we like to utilize the Hebrew calendar as much as we can because it is very useful for finances and the economy. So this is just amazing how this ties together between the day of Rosh Hashanah, which will be the transition out of the Hebrew New Year, the end of Jubilee, a historic 50-year cycle that we're in right now, coming to an end on this day. And just like I said before, it's a Saturn day, the day of Saturn. And you can see it separates or connected by 93 days, just like Saturn by the code equals 93. This is mind-blowing. So the following day would officially be transitioning into the Hebrew year of 5,784, which adds up to 24. Comes full circle to our number 24 we spoke about during this video. We'll be moving into the year of Jupiter. And this will be a very positive year. We typically hear in astrology about Jupiter being of expansion and good luck. I do believe that in the second half of 2024 until the end of 2024, it will be a very bullish time frame for cryptocurrency. So now that we're speaking so much about the mythology of Saturn and Jupiter tied to these cryptocurrencies, this would be the perfect time to talk about Hex, which of course is the hexagon tied to Saturn's hexagon, the Eye of Sauron, and we'll be discussing this recent move for EHEX breaking below 1 cent during this exact time frame. And it's pretty wild to watch it happen as of last night. So for anyone who's been following along my Hex analysis, I shared this exact lower target that we hit today almost a month ago. And before we get into the technical analysis, go ahead and give this video a like if you haven't already. Spread some love in the comment section. That's what we're all about. So I actually want to start here with a tweet that I shared back on April 27th. Again, if you want to follow some on the, move updates, it's at Waters ABVE. Anything else is a scammer pretending to be me, which there are plenty of. Also, now that I've mentioned this, if anyone messages you on Discord or WhatsApp and tries selling you a trading program or a copycat trading, or even if they're talking to you on Instagram, that is not me. I do not do copy trades. I do not sell a trading program that has you following along my trades or where you send me crypto and none of that. That's a scam. Everyone needs to wake up to this because it's a popular scam, and they even do it with channels as small as mine, and I'm sure even smaller channels, they try taking advantage of their supporters. So I just wanted to get that out there. Make sure that you go into the description box of my video right here, and all of the links that are in the description box are my official links. Okay, so getting back to it, let's start with this tweet from April 27th. And right on this day, eHex was trading at 5 cents. I shared a warning to the Hex community that with these daily closes below the 200 exponential moving average and the RSI still not oversold, that more downside can be expected. Then I later wrote right over here, but Hex is most likely heading to 0.038 cents soon, which it did on May 13th, which was 2 weeks after I wrote this tweet. Also, on May 13th, Hex dropped 38% on that day. What a coincidence that I called that 0.38 cent level and it drops 38% the next day with a high of 0.38 cents. This code is obvious in plain sight, and I'll actually just show you that really quickly so you can see what I mean. So we're going to be going right over here to this big red candle. Let me turn off all this noise so you can see. If you just look right up there right now, you'll see it says minus 38. And if you look at this day and right up here where it says H, you're going to see 0.38. Insane how this all happened right after I shared it. And it wasn't because I was trying to offend anyone. I was just trying to prepare people for what's most likely to happen after this technical target was breached, after it was unable to get back above this key moving average. Now, I also talked about that if the 0.24 cent level cannot hold, brought that up, then a double bottom can happen all in the same month. Now, if you take from when this all happened, I also shared that 2 cent hex this year is possible. And this all went down from this moment to this moment within a single month. And here we are today, where we have this really dramatic sell-off in a single day. I know allegedly it has to deal with some big account that was hacked or something. I really don't even want to get into the politics behind it. It's irrelevant to me. I'm a technical analyst. I focus on the charts, and I was able to foresee this price target being breached regardless of what they're going to tell you exoterically. That's what I bring to this sector. That's what makes my channel unique. So here we are. This is really interesting to see it happening so early because this sell-off has been falling like a avalanche. So from the day that we hit that 3 cent target to today, the lows sub 1 penny was about 27 days within a month, just as I said. Now remember, I called for this 12 cent hex target before a larger correction, and it was because the Hex community was reaching out to me for analysis on this project, and that's how it all went down. So I gave everyone the upside target to anticipate before it happened, and then these lower levels, and I was getting a lot of negative feedback for this. Sadly, I thought that this was helpful. I thought that this would be something that people were interested in, and a lot of people were getting offended. So it just shows you kind of where people are at in the community, especially on Twitter, which is a very toxic environment. And I hope that I could bring some purification to that horrid social media platform. But not to speak lack onto anything, I'm just being real with you, you know? So let's transition over to the last time that I covered Hex and I shared my analysis in my Red Pill podcast over on Patreon. And if, again, you guys want more exclusive content, you can go over to patreon.com/watersabove, and the Mastermind community membership has access to all of my decodes and my weekly Red Pill podcasts. Now, I'm showing you from this Red Pill podcast episode 111. It was called Post Eclipse Season Special 3 weeks ago, actually a little bit over 3 weeks ago. And I have these 3 red rays charted out, and this was my spring target. So this is Wyckoff method. We have up here is your buying climax, right here would be your selling climax, this would be your automatic rally, and after breaking bottom, which would be these 2 red lines, you enter the spring phase, and that is exactly where we hit. If you look at where this ray is at the very bottom, it's 0.0069. Now I'm going to go over to the Hex chart right now, and you're going to see exactly where we went today. 0.0686. It's one of the most precise levels I've ever hit in my career. So this is really interesting that we've watched this all come to fruition so early, but we hit the level and that's what it is. Can't get more precise than that. And that's really all that matters. Not when it happens, it's the level it happens, because that's where you set your buy limit orders, your sell limit orders, whatever your plan is, however you like to play this market. So these lower levels of the spring are now in, but of course, this thing has been falling like an avalanche, so it needs time to stabilize. Not all spring phases are a V-shaped recovery, but clearly the hex chart is moving on its own apart from the influence of Bitcoin price action at this time. That's obvious if you compare the charts. But this recent price action on hex is, again, obviously oversold. It's very dramatic, and to me, that screams opportunity. When I see a chart come all the way down into the extremes of the ranges that I map out in advance, to me that's the time to start paying attention and consider building a position. But as an esoteric analyst and decoder, I would still like to see this chart stabilize a little bit because, like any altcoin, more downside is always possible. Now I know this is going to make some people cringe, but 0.003 cents is the next extreme in the range regarding downside. I know that might sound scary to some people, but this is just what altcoins do. If you cannot find support, you're going to continue to break down further and further and further. And this is the area I'm talking about right here. I'll just map it out for you guys on this video so we could keep tracking this in case there's going to be a more dramatic sell-off underway. You just double click this right here, set it to the coordinates 0.003, and there we are. Save our chart. Can we go lower to there? We can absolutely pop into this range because we have prior chart history here. Now that we popped into this lower range, we actually could be trapped between 0.136 and this level that we hit today, 0.068. We can be in there just like we were for this time frame, but you see from this larger correction peak on November 2022 down to here in the same month, we came through all of these levels from where we were trading at just yesterday down through this 0.003 target. So again, this can make some people cringe, but I'm just keeping it real here. This is very, very possible for this project, even though it's up 15% right now. This is just a reaction in the other direction because they know that people are going to start to play around with this. This is what the market maker does. They like to swing you in both directions. They love playing with your emotions. So Hex had an incredible run between 2020 and late 2021, gaining over 500,000%. So of course it's expected for it to give back. Now, so far this has been over a 98% correction from the all-time high, and I'm not here to catch falling knives with my bare hands. Any sophisticated investor knows that these types of assets require a long-term plan, and you need to avoid the tribalism from the communities that are tied to this asset when making investment decisions with your hard-earned money. Just words of wisdom. I've seen it happen with XRP and the XRP community, calling themselves the XRP army. And when I was vocal about selling my bags back in 2021, when XRP broke out above $1 for the first time in 3 years at that time, and here on this public YouTube channel, I was exposing how I was de-risking at $1.20, $1.80, and then after XRP hit slightly below $2 and rolled over, it went on to trade at 30 cents around a year later. Okay? So this is important because I've been here before and I've been a leader in the space during this whole time frame, and I've watched how the community acts accordingly. I was getting crucified at that time when I was saying I was selling back then, and that was all through this rally right here. You could go back to the beginning of my YouTube channel and check it out if you'd like. So this ended up being one of the best decisions that I made regarding my investment thesis, and I also had an average XRP entry between 18 to 20 cents, by the way, something I was also very vocal about, and I looked at a 700 to 800% gain as an amazing play, and I wasn't letting greed get the best of me, and more importantly, I wasn't letting the XRP army and their opinions get the best of me. I was doing what I was doing to help the XRP army so they could see another angle of how this market operates, utilizing Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology combined with technical analysis, which was all the things they weren't doing, especially even any TA. Most of them were making all their big financial decisions based off of Twitter posts. See, you gotta wisen up if you're one of these people, because it's time to learn a real skill and to take matters into your own hands and become self-reliant. It's not popular for me to say these things, but I sense a similar essence of tribalism that I witnessed in the XRP army now with the Hexicans. I'm not trying to offend anyone here. I'm just doing my part to share my gnosis. And if you resonate, that's beautiful. If you do not, that's also beautiful. It's okay. Take what you like, leave the rest. It's okay to like different flavors. But I see with these communities that are focused on just one project and give all their prana to them and their white paper and their programmers or dev team, whatever, they tend to spend so much energy on hating other people for liking a different flavor. And then they never take action on their investments because that type of energy is just like being trapped in tunnel vision. You got to expand your periphery. It's time to turn on the windshield wipers. It's raining right now. So I hope you enjoy these types of, talks regarding these projects. I believe this is actually a good opportunity for my next Red Pill podcast I'm releasing on Patreon this upcoming Sunday. I'll actually be covering EHEX, this chart that we were looking at before, with an in-depth technical analysis breakdown, and the pulsex chart, which I haven't really gone into yet. It's a very new chart, but I'm just going to be sharing some of my thoughts on it and what I see to be the next move behind those projects. Again, that'll be all available for Patreon supporters, and I'll have that released in just a couple days. So this is a good time to just move on to Bitcoin, and then we'll wrap up this video. It's got a longer one today, but we really needed to talk about some of these things. So here we are, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin. We have this bull flag concept where we can see the lower end support and then this resistance. I know it's a little bit messy on this chart, but just hang out with me for a second on this. There is a measured move from the flagpole down here on the 200 simple moving average up to this April 14th high, taking you to about 32,000. It's a solid move, and then there's some that could take us all the way into this bottom of the golden pocket around 40K. Now, that is bullish sounding, right? A lot of people would love a 40K Bitcoin right now, and we've talked about this idea of Bitcoin taking one more leg up several times, but we've had so much FUD in the market with what happened with Binance and Coinbase and the SEC recently. I mean, they're just hitting us from all angles. So this is really one of those time frames where I pay attention to how the regular retail investors are reacting, and the market maker likes to set you up emotionally for being sad and making dramatic emotional decisions, having weak hands, and that's when they like to send it in the other direction. So I'm not trying to be like, anti everyone's beliefs here, but this feels to me a little fishy how we're getting hit with all this negativity at this exact time frame. It kind of smells like we're about to have a breakout. Now that's just me being, contrarian, I suppose, but I do see at least this 0.5 fib getting breached, and in this month it would be more than likely to happen. We're heading into the new moon. It's going to be about 5 days within the FOMC meeting. I see that FOMC meeting potentially making this market very, very optimistic, and of course that'll make crypto optimistic, but we're in a very weird territory right now with what the SEC is doing, so patience is absolutely required. We've talked about these prior iterations of these automatic rally cycles. There is this 2015 cycle that we've been kind of considering. I know I talked about it on my last couple Red Pill podcasts, where we see from June 1st all the way through July 12th, Bitcoin actually had a rally. And if you were to technically take the amount of time off of this all-time high to where we are today, it would be more the 2015 cycle. And we were also discussing several times in the World Reserve Decoded this 2016 cycle. So I am very open-minded to if this is how they're going to play it, who cares if it takes an extra month? That's irrelevant. We have so many more years to live in life, and we are already kind of holding out for this idea of the 2024 bull run in Q4. So what difference does it make? What we really need to do is remind ourselves that what Hex did, where we can have a dramatic sell-off followed by an automatic rally, you need to de-risk these automatic rallies in whatever asset that you are in, because these big sell-offs are to come. It just happened earlier for Hex, just like the top for Hex came in earlier too. We had a lot of projects that it took a couple more days, couple more weeks, a month. That's okay. It is what it is. We have some projects that did their automatic rally at the time the Dow Jones did. It's just how this market moves, and what will allow you to dial in your process even with more accuracy is to look at it from the mythological angle. When you know the project and what it's tied to in the mythology, that's really going to help you. So I don't want to confuse too many people here, and I should really wrap up this video, but just speaking of Hex, we talked about how it was tied to the number 15. You could see hex right here equals 15 in Chaldean. I talked earlier about the year of the tiger. We could see tiger as 15, and anything with the 15 was negative in 2022. And that's obvious in the hex chart, where you can see topping out in 2021 into pretty much the end of 2022, final days of 2022, with a 97% correction. It had a bad year, and it was tied to that code. All right. There was things that were not tied to tiger or Jupiterian symbolism, and were not fulfilling that typical Saturnian and Jupiterian mythology story. But hex was. So once we got out of that 2022 and into 2023, immediately we just went up in a straight line on this asset, 600%. So I hope you see now why it's so important to look at the market from this angle. And I teach all of this in my work. So just want to share the couple of words of wisdom on Bitcoin at this time. We are definitely, chopping along the support. We need to hold these levels here at around 25K. This is really the time to anticipate a bounce. We've had a buying climax, selling climax, automatic rally, and then spring vibe. If you're looking at a Wyckoff cycle in a micro sense, now it's time for us to have what's called an SOS, a sign of strength, and that would be breaking above this 28.5 level and retesting into 30K. If Bitcoin can get back into that 30K territory, I suspect it will bash through it and go to 32, 33K pretty quickly. But right now we're only at 26. We have to see how this next week goes with the FOMC meeting and take it from there. Thus far, we've gotten this back test of 25.3. That was perfect. That was exactly what I wanted, actually, for this to get out of the way, because as I mentioned earlier, when we had this March 10th dump from Silicon Valley Bank failing, and we sprung out of this in a sharp V-shaped recovery, we never back tested those prior resistance highs. Lately we have. So that's a good condition. That's a bullish condition being met. It's brought the market into slight fear, and this is kind of my play here, anticipating that we do have a recovery. Going straight into 23K right now would be less likely, unless again they're just isolating an attack on the crypto market, and that's kind of what it feels like. But I don't know. I mean, we're getting so close to this June, July moment. Something's got to give, and that's kind of me just tapping into my intuition more. Not financial advice, just intuition. So I'm actually going to skip Ethereum, because Ethereum, it's just following the Bitcoin play. Now, final words on XRP, and I will be going over XRP thoroughly in my next Red Pill podcast, giving it a lot more time, because this is looking like a breakout. And it's funny, I made a tweet a couple days ago, pretty much around this June 4th timeframe, when I was seeing 54 cents being tested. And I made a joke that it looks like it's about to pop like a cork out of a champagne bottle. And we've gotten right pretty much back to those levels just a couple days later, even considering this larger sell-off on June 5th. So XRP is strong right now. I mean, we're talking the same median trading range of June 4th is what we're trading at as we're recording this video. It's almost like this correction said nothing to see here, right? And we're popping out. So this inverse head and shoulders play could be what is facilitating the next move up into about 60 cents. I just really feel that XRP needs to start closing these weeklies into 54, 55 cent level, and then we should clear it. 60 cents is going to kind of be a battle zone. We've talked about that on my last Red Pill podcast as well. Next upside level, pretty clear to me that once we could break this 0.5 fib around 60, 61 cents, that we should get into the 83 cent range. 83 cents is a key level for me. I've been talking about it for a while now. I do suspect that the 83 cent to even $1 could happen even in one single week. That's how violent this coin moves. We've seen it happen before. I really like this backtest bounce on the 382 fib that we've seen. So yeah, we just need to let this all play out. By the way, this is a very long time macro fib that I was looking at. Let me just show you right here on this chart what I mean with a little less going on. So let me turn off these moving averages and show you this red line right there is a weekly resistance. If I put it on area chart, you'll see what I mean. So we got the touch point there at the local high of 2021. Rejection, that's 3 touches, confirmed trend line. This gets us into, pretty much we need to make a move soon territory. We've back tested the bottom support line so many times now and continued higher lows. That's very nice to see, but we've yet to have any bullish breakouts above this 382 level, above this 60-cent level. So that's why it's the key one, and I do see that being what facilitates the next move up for XRP. So we're going to leave it at that. This was a super long video today, but we talked about so many important things, and I think this is a presentation in and of itself. I will let this, flow for a week, see how everyone enjoys it. Again, I have that new NBA Finals Decoded. In the meantime, we have Game 4 coming in tonight. Let's see how that goes. Could tie the series, and then I'm really intrigued to see how this one turns out because there's so much financial symbolism, especially in the Denver Nuggets logo. So I go over all that in the decode. I appreciate everyone's continued support. You guys are the best community ever. Much love.